All right. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is off to a good start to the week. And for those of you that were able to enjoy the Memorial Day holiday, hope you had a great long weekend, and the rest of you had a nice casual Monday. So here we are on Tuesday. Thanks for joining this webinar today to discuss S4 Private. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, so today we'll be talking about SAP Cloud ERP Private and from T-codes to bots. So thanks so much for joining, and we'll be addressing this in the context of VistaVu's broader AI data and application story. We started out focusing on AI data. We've had some discussions on S4 Public as an application that, again, drives data and ultimately AI functionality. But I hope that this webinar will be informational and educational for you, as well as provide guidance on a path forward and new possibilities that you may want to explore as part of your SAP Cloud ERP Private journey going forward. So I'm Joel Halvorson. I'm head of Cloud ERP here at VistaVu. I have more than 30 years of experience in helping companies utilize technology in their business processes, and more than 20 years focusing specifically on SAP implementation and support across many industries. As you can see here, utilities, energy, manufacturing, telecom, life science, and public sector. So we'll go ahead and get started with the content of the presentation. If you have questions that come up during the presentation, please put those in the Q&A or in the chat. And Chris is monitoring that, and we will come back to that at the end and review those questions at that time. But we'll first talk about the bigger story and how AI data and applications connect and work together in this new world going forward, and specifically the role of Cloud ERP Private as an application foundation, the path to get to where we are today in terms of Cloud ERP Private, and the many different transitions that it has taken over the past decades, basically, and also looking at the path forward and how to do work going forward in this new environment that SAP has introduced and laid the foundation for. All right. So looking at where we've been. So we started out a few months back with our AI solution architect here at VistaVu, talking about where we're at with artificial intelligence and what businesses are looking for, what's new, what's real. I think the important point here, businesses are moving from experimenting with AI to really prioritizing AI around real work going forward. So 2025 being a transitional year in terms of making that transition from the previous experimentation phase to really figuring out how to use it, how to make businesses work better with artificial intelligence. And then Chris Brooks, our Vice President of Technology here at VistaVu, following up with data as a differentiator and how it is that we can leverage what is being generated at an enterprise level to create data that basically is the basis for what we can do with artificial intelligence going forward. So primarily focused on data as a differentiator and being able to develop and have access to data that has key characteristics, quality, good data. We need good data. We need to govern that data and protect it. We need to integrate data so that we're not dealing with silos of information, but rather dealing with integrated data lakes and also reusable data. So data that can be consistently available and does not have to be recreated when needed. So looking at Cloud ERP Private then, it's not just an infrastructure, but it is where business work happens within the business, where the business context is created for that data. So we have work that needs to happen. It happens within Cloud ERP Private, creates, transforms, processes, analyzes data, and then provides that data in the form of, well, various forms, but ultimately for data and artificial intelligence purposes to really drive business outcomes that matter. So the future includes Joule and SAP's Business Data Cloud. So being able to take the information, the proprietary data that basically is generated and processed within Cloud ERP Private, and combining that through Business Data Cloud with other relevant data that would include SAP and non-SAP sources of data to really fill in the bigger picture to make better decisions using the tools such as SAP Joule and agents that are being developed by SAP or by yourself, individual companies, to be able to get to the information more quickly, easily, and provide more valuable outcomes as a part of that. So getting back to where we started and looking at the layers of that have to come together to really create a valuable user experience. So the application on the bottom, focusing on specific processes and industry capabilities, and being able to cover the information that's needed from a company-specific perspective, and then adding the data layer in where we have various data products and we have other information besides just SAP information that is then defined and used by the use cases and the Joule type of technology and agents that can really drive the productivity that is needed. So being able to drive value, of course, is where it's at. So looking at where we've been, many of you may be familiar with the history of SAP ECC and the on-premise type of tools that were used starting in the early 2000s. That, of course, transformed into SAP S/4HANA, becoming the HANA-based ERP and modern-day data model that really started the transformation back in 2015. And then in 2021, we were all introduced to RISE with SAP and moving from the on-premise type of environment that we had been used to into the cloud ERP environment with the private edition path, and then now more recently, SAP Business Suite, and we'll see the autonomous enterprise that has now been introduced this year as part of the overall journey that we're on with Cloud ERP Private. So there's been many different type of paths that companies have taken. You can see going back ERP 6.0 on AnyDB, so not specific to HANA, but any type of database could be used to run SAP back in the day, shifting then to S/4HANA, the HANA database and S/4HANA developments, and moving on from there so that we ultimately ended up with what we would call the RISE with SAP, moving the conversation from upgrades to really manage cloud modernization and support from SAP in the form of a private cloud model, and being able to then integrate with that other types of technologies through the business technology platform, and of course, leveraging public cloud networks to be able to run what essentially are um, private tools on a public medium. So really providing the means to where we are getting to today, with modernization of the technology as well as the focus on clean core. So keeping what we have in our SAP environments as clean as possible to support full functionality in the future, as well as not inhibit upgrades or other incremental changes that need to happen to the technology or the landscape that customers are using. So being able to put the business into a onto a business transformation path. So last year, really focusing on the SAP Business Suite as being the introduction to this future state. So business technology platform, supporting what would come together with Business Data Cloud and Cloud ERP, including either public or private, and then focusing on the individual domains around that: financial, spend, supply chain, human capital, and customer experience, to then wrap other industry-specific information around that, development of agents, and ultimately being able to leverage Joule in the course of end-to-end business processes and being more efficient and being able to then develop more value from the ERP investment that customers are making. So now we get to what was introduced this year, Sapphire being just a couple of weeks ago, and the focus really being on the autonomous enterprise. And the autonomous enterprise, including the autonomous suite, which leverages what we have been talking about, data and applications over the basically the Joule type of artificial intelligence that includes industry AI, with new partnerships that SAP has developed to be able to incorporate information outside of the enterprise to be able to make better decisions, and then ultimately having the 5 various domains here that are shown as finance, spend, SCM, HCM, and CX, to be able to leverage and combine into the autonomous suite. So all of this supported by the Business AI platform, which essentially provides a way to build through Joule Studio, for example, AI agents that support the business specifically, being able to contextualize the data that is being developed and used in the processes that businesses are using, and govern the use of the Business AI platform to be able to protect it, manage it effectively. And then leveraging what is being called the SAP Knowledge Graph to really give AI agents that are being developed a structured map of the way that the business works and the processes and the relationships across a customer's landscape. So the SAP Knowledge Graph really providing the context for all of the data that then needs to drive what happens at the application level with the agents through Joule as the primary user interface for the SAP environment going forward. Really the next evolution of SAP's ERP. So a big deal that we will continue to hear a lot about going forward. So accelerating that journey to the autonomous enterprise, SAP has also focused on agent-led transformations, and how we are able to take basically customers that have been on traditional on-premise ERP solutions through an agent-led transformation, being able to accelerate the path from getting to a agentic AI type of an environment, and ultimately the autonomous enterprise. So removing complexity and being able to accelerate through the use of agents to reduce the time frame, 35% reduction in transformation, for example, to be able to get to that point. And of course, reducing the effort as well as the time frame in a similar way. So minimizing risk so that we're using proven methodology and expert guidance that's provided through the agent-led transformation process that's being introduced, and unlocking then the ability to utilize agents from the start in terms of being able to leverage and make better use of the information that a company has uh, immediately, and not just waiting until the end of a transformation project, for example, but being able to leverage it throughout the project. So SAP has introduced a number of technologies and tools to facilitate this, including Lean IX, as well as Signavio, Joule Studio for developing agents, Integration Suite as part of BTP, and of course, Joule for consultants and developers that all contribute to the ability to accelerate the time and cost, reduce cost associated with a transformation to the autonomous enterprise. So SAP Cloud ERP Private is all about improving the user experience, making the enterprise resources more intelligent, productive, transformative, limiting customization to unique business needs, all within the context of a clean core principle, and also collaborative. So being able to work across multiple areas within a company or across multiple enterprises to drive value and make the work easier to act on. So SAP Joule being a primary tool for this, and being able to show up in 4 practical ways: informational, of course, what do you need to know; navigational, needing to find the right app to be able to execute faster within the SAP environment; transactional, so actually completing work through the use of agents and Joule; and analytical, and being able to explore insights and find more information within the data that is supporting an enterprise. So examples of navigational use cases, which app should I use to clear a GL account? So Joule is then able to remember that and come back with the right information so that the correct tool, the correct app, is then opened up and the work can continue. So these types of things being developed within and all of the different major modules within SAP, from managing business partners to procurement to finance to warehouse management to production planning, but making that transition from what we would often remember with transaction codes, making that much easier with the use of this type of navigational capability within Joule. And then similarly, within transactions, being able to leverage Joule so that you can help users find where to work. So transactional capabilities are how we get selected work done within a conversational type of interaction with SAP. So not having to, for example, have a list of different steps that need to go through, but rather being able to rely on what has been developed by SAP, what has been developed for a specific customer or business, and being able to leverage that to ask what is needed in a natural language, have the entity, the Joule agent review what's needed, carry out the task, and then be able to report back and move on to the next thing that needs to be done, all within a user-friendly, natural language type of user experience. So this Discovery Center is where we are able to access this information within the SAP environment. So if you haven't, this would be the place to start in terms of exploring what is available for Cloud ERP Private, what has already been developed, what are the things that I can activate on day one once I have my SAP ERP system in a situation that's able to leverage this type of capability. So just looking at this more specifically, I'm going to go into the Discovery Center. So here I have filtered on S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition, and it shows a number of different agents that are available: accounts receivable, positioning, goods receipt processing, maintenance order recommendations. So a lot journal uploads. So many different applications are already available and can be used. You can see some of them are in beta. Some have been finalized and available and fully tested, so no longer indicated as beta, but this is a great place to go to really explore and really learn about what it is that can be done with the agents that have been developed by SAP to this point to support Cloud ERP Private. So looking specifically at the accounts receivable agent, for example, I'm going to run this demo, and hopefully you'll be able to hear it, but we'll be able to look at how this actually works. I'm going to just press play here and let it go.
Let's take a look at how the accounts
Is that better?
receivable agent helps us stay on top of overdue
Yep,
receivables
we can hear it now.
quickly and intelligently. We're analyzing the account of Greenwheel Inc. under the company code GW Labs. Instead of navigating through multiple reports or apps, we simply launch the Joule agent. Right away, it brings together data from dispute cases, dunning history, and the aging report into one unified and actionable view. Here's what the agent shows us. Greenwheel Inc. has a total outstanding of approximately $246 million. About $74 million, roughly 30%, is currently in dispute. In addition, there's $36.9 million that's overdue but not under dispute. That's a sizable amount eligible for immediate follow-up. Joule also shows that 100% of the open items are overdue by more than a year, and although dunning has previously reached level 4, there hasn't been any recent follow-up activity. This lack of recent action signals a potential gap in collection follow-through. Now here's where the agent truly adds value. It doesn't just present data, it gives clear recommendations. In this case, it suggests 2 immediate actions. 1, prioritize closure of the 2 key dispute cases, dispute IDs 33410 and 33409, especially the $65.5 million one, which alone represents over a quarter of the total outstanding. And 2, escalate the $36.9 million in overdue non-disputed receivables, either through the renewed dunning or legal channels, especially if these items are now aging beyond 3 years. Let's check into one of the dispute cases. No need to search, we just follow the link and dive directly into the dispute details. We then ask the agent, why are you recommending these actions? And Joule responds with a breakdown. The disputes together account for nearly $74 million, so resolving them significantly impacts both days sales outstanding and risk exposure. Meanwhile, the overdue amount of $36.9 million has no dispute blocking action, making it the fastest path to recovering cash. Naturally, we're curious, how long have these disputes been open? The agent checks for us. Dispute ID 33410, the larger one, has been open for about 14 months. That's a strong indicator that resolution is stuck or delayed. In contrast, dispute 33409 at $8.3 million was open just 2 months ago, so it's still within normal handling time. With this insight, we take action. We escalate the priority of the $65.5 million dispute to very high And Joule confirms the change, seamlessly updating the case without any manual entry or navigation. And just like that, we've used the accounts receivable agent to identify the biggest risks, understand the reasons behind the recommendations, and take decisive action, all within a few minutes. This is how finance teams can go from scattered insights to confident, data-driven decisions with the help of AI.
All right, so you can see from that how the Joule interface really facilitates what would normally take a lot of time for a user to figure out, and having to go through and really spend too much time deciding where to go, where to start, where to end, where do I go next. It really facilitates that whole process from start to finish, obviously driving tremendous value in being able to do that, not only in the efficiency of it, but also in the use of the analytics and being able to drive recommendations and valuable information from the information that's being gathered within the ERP Private implementation data. So the latest innovations, 2025 being the latest version that has been developed by SAP, and you can see here that we have the various types of innovations in the modules that are impacted, and really categorized then into the different type, whether it's a Joule-based, AI-based type of innovation, or whether it's in other types of innovations through the core, or other types of use of business data cloud, for example, to leverage what's being captured across the enterprise and the autonomous enterprise type of concepts. So being able to track and keep understanding what it is that SAP Joule is doing and advancing. Of course, you have the Joule capabilities within SAP.com, being able to find out what it is that is currently being developed, what's available, lots of help information, and specifically regarding Joule in S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition. So being able to find the right app, get the right answers, and viewing business objects, but understanding the development as well as what's being planned for the future through the Roadmap Explorer. So again, going back to the into the roadmap, I'll refresh. So being able to, again, filter and look specifically at Cloud ERP Private, for example, and artificial intelligence. These would be all of the type of information that's on the roadmap. So looking at Q2 2026, for example, advances agents for absence management, accounts receivable management, attendance management, benefits, collections. So a lot of developments happening now, and of course, going forward into the future for the roadmap to really see what's planned, and of course, looking back to see what has been done as part of previous releases or previous versions as well. So leveraging the roadmap, and specifically on the focus topic of artificial intelligence, is a great way to keep track of what's happening. So being able to then leverage that capability from the Roadmap Explorer, understanding the future, and of course, developing a path to get there from where you are today to where you need to be in the future to really leverage these type of capabilities within Cloud ERP Private. So with that, I will turn it back over to Chris to see if we have any questions, comments that may have come through on the chat or on the Q&A. Chris?
Thanks, Joe. Currently, we don't have any question either in the chat or the Q&A section. But if anyone has any question, now it's the right time to ask. I would say we give them a few minutes and then we can proceed.
That sounds good.
Oh, we have one question. Is this capability available in ECC?
Well, the capability to a certain extent can be available in ECC. Of course, SAP's approach is to incentivize companies to get to Cloud ERP Private, where all of these types of capabilities are included, for example, with licensing, and not all of them, but some of them, depending upon the type of license, are included, and of course, readily available to be consumed with the proper licensing. But limited capability can be added on with ECC. Joule does require the use of BTP and to be able to connect that to an entity. But in terms of development of agents and that type of capability within ECC, that would not be available to be activated within an ECC environment. So you do have limited capability within ECC.
Thank you, Joe.
Good,
I don't
good
think we have
question.
any other questions.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. If you would like to reach out and have a further conversation about Cloud ERP Private and the capabilities that we covered today, especially with the focus going forward on the autonomous enterprise, we would be happy to meet with you. So please take note of ways to reach out and using this QR code here. And we look forward to hearing from you. So thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.